I click the links to join the channel here over at subscribe. So I got a mailbox. Want to mail me some comics by all means. So the demonic exorcism film. In the original film, a bird flew into the circuit box and it burned down the set at the start of production. The only part that didn't burn was the room that they used to film the actual exorcism. Interesting because there was 9 deaths associated with the movies, which is a bit excessive. First of all of Hollywood is demonic because it's infested with actual demons. They have their own island for child sacrifice. It's all crap. The mistake is in thinking that there are good movies. Yeah, every once in a while something slips through the cracks. It's pretty rare that a They Live comes along. Actually, most of his films are pretty solid. Most films that you think you have a memory of them being one way, but you after you put on your sunglasses and you go watch them again 20 years later, you'll be like, oh, this is not what I thought it was, and you can see that with a lot of movies. Even something that people often quote is stuff like Blazing Saddles. That movie is not what you think it is if you watch it through a different lens. And I know this sounds tinfoil hat, but it's really not what you think it is. Think of who is portrayed in a positive manner and who's portrayed in a negative manner throughout the whole film. People are way, way off base with movies like Blazing Saddle because they just watched it at one level. It's like, no, think about it a little bit more. So what's the hidden message in films? More importantly, look at the people involved in funding and making the movies. Look at the surface message and then the subconscious message. And you can do that with Fight Club also. And and also with Pulp Fiction. I mean, there's a ton of movies and Falling Down that these movies are really famous, well-known movies, and people think that the movie is sending one message, but the directors actually intended it to send a different message, and that subconscious message is still there. And maybe I'll do videos on it for like Odyssey or something. So you got to ask, who is subtly being degraded and belittled? What effect does a movie have on how people, for example, in The Exorcist, view Christianity? Who made the movie? Are they Christians? And sometimes it goes in the other way. Occasionally with what was George Lucas in the Star Wars prequels. So that little flying guy, interesting. Lucas, that's interesting. It's a bit on the nose, huh? Huh, Lucas? Like, what are you talking about? Like, if you hear a dog whistle, you're a dog. I'm like, okay. And then the Rastafarian, like, we gotta get out of the theater. I'm like, so the flying guy and the Rastafarian, that was interesting design elements to put it in the movie. But hey, that was like 20 plus years ago, so you could do that kind of stuff. Anyway, so you gotta look at these kind of movies and go, who made the movies? Are they Christians or are they tools of the Antichrist? Movies aren't just mindless entertainment. They're modern day spellcasting, witchcraft. Think of the movies as a ceremony to tribalism. What's the actual message? Is it globalist propaganda in disguise? Most of Hollywood, yeah, it is. Even the further back you go. I mean, maybe in the 50s, less so, but you get what I'm saying. Examples would be themes of anti-whiteism, anti-Christianism, misandry, anti-natal, anti-family, anti-tribalism, which is most of Hollywood. And I don't mean that just because I'm in Hugo Boss with a tinfoil hat. It's not confirmation bias when I repeatedly point out the anti-Christian messaging from the Hollywood parasites. You see it everywhere because it's actually there. You can objectively point out these details. Hollywood is the great Satan. Anyway, so this was an interesting set in the 70s because it had so much tragedy associated with it. In the movie, the priests are fighting this demon who's inhabiting the kid, and the kid is deleting people. But the priests are dying while they're trying to fight this demon. In fact, one priest sacrificed, a spoiler alert if you haven't seen the 50-year-old movie, priest sacrifices himself to save the girl. It's a stupid movie that people think is cool in a surface level way because they never stop to think about it. Then it just seems so over the top ridiculous, like the waves of 70s and 80s films. The difference with the darker 70s films is that they tried to take themselves seriously. Then in the 80s they stopped and they were sort of campy parodies of serious movies because you had people making these Christian-themed movies, but they fundamentally hated Christianity and were terrified by it. So that comes across in the films. It was good versus evil, but the films were made by the evil people who didn't understand good versus evil. They were the evil people. They are the left-hand path, the sinister versus dexterous path. But they had to make these cis and trans, you chemistry bigot. They had, like, those are just chemistry terms to most of us over a certain age, cis, trans, sinister, and dexterous. They were the evil people, but they had to make these movies with elements that they, at their core, didn't understand. They couldn't understand. It's like these demons just don't have that part of the brain that allows for understanding of that. They can only sort of emulate what they thought the good side was. I don't know if they think of in Hollywood. I don't know if they think of themselves as the good side. We know we're good, and we know they're evil because we understand those concepts. It's more that the Hollywood people don't understand the concept of good and evil. Beyond that, their side is the only thing that matters, and at the core of that is the self as the godhood. But they are actually their own demon seed, and they hate anyone who isn't them. And as by degrees you get from their godhood, the more removed you are from them, the less human you are. The final form of this is the sociopath who thinks he's the main player, the Weinstein type of characters. The only true life on Earth, and all the other people aren't really people. They just exist to serve them at their pleasure. And every once in a while, an Epstein gets popped and has to be taken off the game board. Anyway, so in the movie, the priests die saving this kid, but TheWoke remake, the mom character blames the patriarchy for not letting her watch The Exorcism because it's 2023 and Hollywood is just mask off stupid. They paid $400 million for the rights to this movie. I mean, keep in mind, Exorcism, they don't own the rights to the concept of exorcism. They own the rights to this specific movies that the books are made off of this franchise, but you can make movies about demonic possession and exorcism because it's just a word, so it's kind of interesting. So $400 million, so they could keep the franchise going, except that this movie did $28 million so far, which is a massive bomb, even for a low-budget film. It's pointless to buy this franchise, which is about good versus evil, through a Catholic lens, but the movie is made by essentially the Antichrist and his proxies via, I think, Warner Brothers. It's an impossible... you got the wrong studio. Yeah, but aren't they all the Antichrist? Good point, sir. You got me there. If 90% of the people in this new Exorcist held a crucifix, it would burn their soul. So they own the rights to a movie, and they use it to push some globalist propaganda. It's a bizarre decision to spend $400 million for the rights that you can't really use, because all they do is make the standard globalist propaganda, which people are tired of. This was the first in a trilogy that they paid $400 million for, and this did $28 million. They're in deep, deep shit. They can't make, they just, well, it looks like we're going to lose a few $100 million. Yeah, that's kind of, you really can't make those kind of decisions. Hollywood's making a lot of decisions where hundreds of millions of dollars are going out the window through movies and through acquisition deals like this. And, all that rating starts to add up. They can't make Catholic films because they're not Catholic. Mel Gibson types of movies are better for the modern day religious people. That's what people are into these days. People want a base Christianity, not the Hollywood subverted and corrupted version. You can't make movies like The Exorcist today unless it's coming from a more based, authentic Mel Gibson type of perspective. The 70s version worked on shock value, not on storytelling. It doesn't hold up. Story-focused movies hold up, and nobody wants to hear about the patriarchy. People are just sick of that kind of crap because most people support the stability of the patriarchy and nationalism, and it's weird. Like the left wing just uses it. They conclude with the conclusion instead of the issue rule analysis conclusion, where the patriarchy's bad, nationalism's bad, and most of us, like most people, are coming openly, like subconsciously. You might disagree with that. You go like, wait, why? You never explained that. It's like, it's just accepted. Everyone knows. Everyone knows. But now people are actually talking about it. Goes, no, it seems like nationalism, tribalism, ethnocentralism, patriarchy, paternalism. I don't know what you call it. Tribalism, really, but it's tribalism based on a patriarchy for sure. Those are good things. And you hear the Hollywood openly saying, no, globalism, diversity. It's like nobody. That's like you're seeing how that's falling down. That's not working. Like all over the world, you're seeing how that's its weakness. It's like literally in the word diverse, the root to divide, to split, to make less pure. It's like they're telling you openly. They openly tell you these words, but most people don't look into the etymology, which I hope is not the study of insects, of the word origin for words like when they say diversity is our strength, and you start to go, I should look up that word diversity, and maybe even strength too. Diversity, diverse, die. Huh. And you don't just look up the online dictionary, you got to get into the etymology of the word, and you're like, these people are telling you, they're spellcasting, they're telling you they're demons, they're just telling you what they're, like everything they say, it's like the devil is saying, I was honest with you from the beginning. I was the vampire asking to come inside. They were honest from the beginning. They're telling you what they're telling you. They're telling you where they're pushing diversity, and you look up the word, you're like, but the word itself doesn't mean it in the way that you're implying it, and when you see examples of it put in practice, it's clearly not working. And they go, no, it's working. It's working. Like that, what's that science fiction book where at the end of it, this character behind a screen is giving advice. I know someone in that chat will know this if they get to the end of this video. Some of the character is giving advice, and he's behind a shadowy. It's like a priest penitent confessional box, and you just see the shadowy character. But when he turns and goes, you see the forked tail. It's kind of interesting. I don't know where I was going about this. Hollywood is such vermin that they live in this inside-out world, the mirror universe of the sinister path. The priest died to fight the demon and save the girl in his final sacrifice, but this idiot character said she wasn't allowed in the room because of the patriarchy. It's what happens when you make a movie and they're counting on the fact that your low IQ audience didn't see the original because they don't have the patience for it. It's strictly short attention span going forward in this new dumbed down version of America. There's really, I mean, like I did this video yesterday about this comic book, which that video did not do very well. There's no shortage of crap that's coming out there, and it's like, you know, that we jokingly say it's stunning and brave. That's how they look at it stuff, and it's like, but they haven't learned from that. Like they make like yesterday's video about that comic book, that it's just crap. It's cliche crap on top of cliche crap, as the same as this movie. And they keep putting this stuff out there. Now, I mean, to put a comic book out there is a few tens of thousands of dollars, where a movie like this is a few tens of millions of dollars, just low budget film. But they keep doing it, and they keep losing money doing it. At some point, you got to look and go like, this isn't about the money, is it? No. For the love of all that is holy, this is not about the money. This is about something else. Anyway, join me over at Subscribestar, where we can talk about that kind of something else sort of thing. Or over at Telegram if you have your asbestos panties on. Even the names of some of the people in the Telegram are like interesting. So like, comment, subscribe, join Sport Channel if you wish, and I'll see you guys all next episode.